think we are. I feel a bit like I can't get my seeing right.
I know, mate. Well,
Look, a bit.
it's strange. We've been off for a few weeks, so it's about time.
Can we angle that just a little bit?
Let's have a look,
The
Dave.
light in my hands.
There we go. There we go, Dave. You got the lighting right. Obviously, any Tuesday tune-in for anyone that's joined us yet, it's clearly all about getting Dave comfortable. As soon as Dave is comfortable, he's all right. Right, who's going to be the first to comment today? I reckon it's going to be. Is it going to be Emily? I'm waiting. We're still waiting. But yeah, if you have joined us, do just drop in the comments just so we can see who has.
Is it Emily who's always first?
Or Sarah, is it?
I thought it was Laura.
Actually, I thought it was Sam. I thought it was Sam Chambers.
Laura, we've clearly been out way too long.
I know we have. Stuart Taylor, of course. Stuart, thanks for dropping us a message saying that you were on. Marky V said he's going to have some weeks off, yet he still joins us from the far corners of the planet. This time in Cuba.
I've been to Cuba.
Yeah, good time.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, enjoyed Havana.
You know what? I've never been to Cuba.
I
need to make it out there, definitely.
I went in 2006 or 7.
Sam's asking, what's the prize for being first? I think he's clearly seen some previous lives, and there's some expectations there now, Dave.
There is, and I don't want to be tight on Sam, but well, every time I do one of those, like, I'll give away a buff, I end up having to go to the post office. Oh, all right, Sam, email me.
I was going to say, Sam, because you were first today,
yeah,
you do get a buff. So well done.
Send me an email. I'll get you a buff.
We'll send one from the office. No worries. But look, obviously, I know it's kind of weird because it's the second week, but a huge happy new year to all of our ever trackers, and thanks to everyone for joining. We got Bri, we got Lyndon, obviously we got Stuart, Mark, Lorna, obviously good old Sam, Scott. Who else we got on here? We got Jim Blues. Oh, happy new year, mate. Now it's great to see all of you back, and I hope you're well rested and you had a good chill over the Christmas period. Heather. We got Running Yeti here. We got Jody, who's on the phone.
Is Jody coming on the live?
She's on the live, yeah.
No, I mean like on camera.
Oh yeah. Well, we've been trying since she's joined.
She doesn't want to join. I think she has a worry that
she's gonna kill you. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. So basically, throughout this live, at any point, if you want to see Jody on the live, just comment like "Come on, Jody" or "Jody live."
What do you think if hashtag get Jody live, so we can get Jody on the live?
Yeah, hashtag get Jody live.
Okay, she's really gonna kill you.
I think there's a lot that she could talk about. She's incredibly fit in terms of her.
There's a reason why she's called the Running Yeti.
Yeah, yeah. So she could talk about how she gets the motivation to get up in the morning and go running.
That would be I'd like to hear that. I would like to hear that, Jody.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that about motivation. A motivation Tuesday tune-in from George.
Brilliant. So Jody from Lorna was asked, "Where's Jody?" She's the other side of that wall.
Yeah, Joe, do you just want to pop your head in? No.
But no pressure now, because we'll get told off. But look, it's great to be back. We wanted to kind of kick off the new year with something that we were discussing, I suppose, last week, and it was around obviously around New Year's resolutions, because there's a lot of that. As we build up. I don't make resolutions, mate.
Do you not?
I set challenges. Sorry, I had to get that quote in. No. So I sometimes I do make New Year's resolutions. I didn't actually make one this year because I'm just going to make them as I go along anyway. But not spoil what we're going to talk about, because I wanted to look into the kind of data and the kind of science behind it, because a lot of people obviously choose to do something. Sometimes it's because of New Year's resolution. Some people just do it because they want a challenge or they want to take on something. And I thought, what a good way to maybe start off the year and talk about that, resolutions versus challenges. And personally, in terms of my opinion, why I think one is certainly better than the other. But not to, if anyone has any New Year's resolutions, I don't want to kind of
scrap them.
I don't want to kind of shoot you down in flames, because look, anything that can get anyone to try something new, to set themselves a challenge or a resolution is great. And it gets people outdoors, it gets people on adventures. And I'd be the last to kind of put anyone down who does that. But I think it was just I wanted to open up the discussion really around challenges versus resolutions, because there is some stats around resolutions, and that I think it's like 90%, so 9 out of 10 New Year's resolutions get ditched by the end of January, which is nuts. And then when we flip it and we look at the challenges, I mean, I'm going to use the Evertrekker community, which I know are, quite a quite a specific kind of part of the adventure travel community and society. But exactly one of the best parts, Dave. But it's the other way around. Like we were looking at the data and we were looking at trip success, and we had our planning day over Christmas. Well, 2 planning days, but then we did the meeting yesterday, and with the rest of the team, we looked at some of the stats and trip success. People who our cancellation rates, all that stuff that we like to really have a look at 2022 and plan for 2023. But one of the big ones was that 95% of people who booked on went on a trip and got to where they wanted to get to. So I was like, isn't that nuts? Because I'm going to put 9.5 people because I know it came up.
Funny enough, the 5% that didn't do it,
yeah,
it was because it was their New Year's resolution to do a challenge.
Is that what it was? Is that what it was?
That's how it works,
okay.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting that 9.5 people, because 95%, right? Obviously, I know that the half isn't really there. I know. Still trying to persuade Dave on that.
We dragged like a legless body
Wow.
to base camp just to get that stat in because we wanted it to be over 9.
We wanted it to be over 9. But basically, 95% of people who set a challenge in our community achieve it, which is completely the flip side to a New Year's resolution. And that's why I thought, isn't it interesting just to look at those stats, that it is the flip? But why is that? Any specific reasons you think, Dave?
I think because it's more, a challenge is like grounded in reality. There's a couple of things I think. One is a New Year's resolution, I got nothing against it, is I think New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, it's a convenient time to draw a line in the sand.
Yeah.
It's the end of something and the beginning of something.
Yeah.
So it's natural to think, well, it's the end of a way of doing something and the beginning of a way of doing something.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you go back to work and you realize nothing's changed. So then you think, oh, sod it, I'll give up.
And is that okay?
However, when you set like a challenge as a goal, like say your New Year's resolution is to get fit, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But when you set a challenge, there's a couple of things that happen. One is you've got a very definite goal that's set there. Yep. Second is most people tell people about that challenge.
They do.
So and it's very different from me coming into the office and telling you, and I'm going to get fit this year.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And then if I come in and say, and I've booked Climac and Kagura in a year, so I've got to get fit.
Yeah. Which
one are you going to take more seriously? Yeah. And which one are you kind of going to hold me more accountable to?
Yeah.
Because we all know that when people say they're going to start dieting on Monday, and then if you don't start dieting on Monday,
it becomes the following Monday.
Yeah, it's never Tuesday. Yeah, it's always a week later.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that's because it's really it's kind of vague. It's kind of there's not much invested in that change at that time.
Yeah.
Whereas as soon as you sign up to a challenge, already you are mentally and physically invested in the future.
Yeah.
You think there's a date in the future to which I have to be ready by, or I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
And everybody that I've told that I'm going to do that is going to ask me why. So I'm going to put extra effort into doing that.
Perfect. Honestly, mate, that you hit the nail on the head there, because that was definitely something that I thought is that when you say you're going to do a challenge and you tell your mates, or you post on social media, or you post in the High Altitude Evertrekkers group or the Summit Zone, whatever you put you say, right, you're going to do something, it does become tangible. It does become real. And I think you're right. Maybe that's the difference, because the New Year's resolutions, and you're right, because it is maybe could be social pressure, could be because it's part of our society is always to make these things in January, when if you do set a challenge and you have you've literally gone, you've put that flag in, that's your target, that's your goal, it is more achievable. And clearly the stats say which one is more likely to happen.
100%.
Which is really interesting. And like I said, and for people who've joined us since, like Jerome and Diane, Happy New Year! Great to see you guys on. It's I say we obviously rewind and hopefully watch a bit of the beginning, but we're talking about challenges versus resolutions and the kind of numbers on it. And I think sometimes there are those kind of social pressures to actually do something in January. And now we're here. Imagine all these challenges that you can put in, that you can go, right, okay, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to, like you said, instead of just getting fit, you're going to give you a reason to get fit.
Yeah, exactly.
For a specific reason.
Exactly. You've got to invest in something. You can't just say something. And there are a lot of people that say, I'm going to get fit in the new year, and they do. But we looked at it and we analysed it like scientists, and we realised, well, The majority of these fail. If you
Not that detailed.
No, it was
The numbers were
scientific.
there.
It was scientific. And but no, the truth is, I know a personal trainer that operates out of a gym, and she told me that everybody knows this. Everybody that goes to the gym routinely knows that January
It's busy.
rammed.
Yeah,
February back to normal.
I know some of the girls were saying
So
that yesterday.
where are all the extra people? You know, and
Yeah.
I think that's because there's not a solid aim. There's get fit, which is a great aim, but what does get fit mean? Do you want to be able to run a marathon? Do you want to be able to sort of deadlift 150 kilos? Do you want to sprint the 100 meters in like, you know, under 10 seconds? Is that good for 100 meters?
That's pretty quick. I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, there's only a few people that have gone below that.
Yeah. You know, do you want to run?
I'm not sure me and you could get to that. I mean, maybe some.
It depends. If there's a sausage roll at the end, I guarantee you all get there, mate. But you know, so that's what I mean. It's but to set yourself a goal, and you know, I could give you an example. Yeah. We used to use it in our marketing. I don't know if we knew anymore, and I used to call it the Fat Dave story. Where you used
it's still there somewhere. It's still there. If you download the Everest Base Camp guide, I think it's email 4. I mean, Fat Dave, yeah.
Yeah, and that's because going back into 2014 or whatever, where I was working in Milton Keynes. Everyone slags off Milton Keynes. Right? I had a great time there.
Yeah, it's good.
Such good
it's got
people.
a snow dome as well.
Yeah, but
quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, and you know, I lived there for 4 years, and only now, once I've left, am I deciding to learn to ski. But my point was that I wanted to get fit and I wanted to do a lot of things, but I didn't really have any direction or anything like that. And it wasn't until that I signed up to something that I was like really emotionally invested in.
Yeah.
Which for me was Everest Base Camp, but for you doesn't have to be. We're just saying that challenges work. Ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to summit Mount Everest. You know, I always kind of fantasized about what it would have been like back in those like romantic days of early mountaineering, you know, what it must have been like for.
Awesome.
I find it exciting to envisage like Tenzing and Hillary like way up, and just, you know, I don't know, just that feeling of just they've got past the Hillary step and they're on their way up to the summit ridge, and they're higher than anyone else in the world, but they're completely alone at the same time.
Yeah.
The exhilaration of that. Anyway.
Whilst we're talking about that, though, it is the 70th anniversary this year.
Is it?
First Everest summit.
Oh, amazing.
We'll have to do something special for that in May.
Yeah.
100%.
And obviously it's my 40th, but yeah, also that. But yeah, and so, but obviously, you know, climbing Everest wasn't there for me, but I thought, what in that arena? Let's pick something in that arena. And for me, it was Everest Base Camp, and this is before Evertrek. This is everything. All I'd done to kind of have that idea was see a mate at the time who didn't work for an adventure travel company go and do it himself.
Yeah, who was that?
That was you. And it worked. It really did work, because I think a lot of people have failed in New Year's resolutions in the past. In fact, I can't recall one that I've stuck to.
Yeah.
And I think that it was because I wasn't really emotionally invested. I wanted to be fitter. I wanted to be healthier. I wanted to be happier. But at the same time, you know, the reasons why I wasn't were still there.
Yeah.
You know, like I was still lazy and unmotivated.
Yeah.
So I had to get rid of the lazy and re-engage the motivation in order to make it work. So picking a challenge did it for me, and it really did.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Evertrekkers on here, and just seeing some wonderful comments as always. And I think definitely good shout out to Bry as well. I think set myself a challenge of doing your first ultra marathon, running and walking from Brecon to Cardiff. Good man.
Walking, lazy.
Bry doesn't walk, either treks or he runs.
I've done that.
He's what, Brecon to Cardiff?
Yeah, I did it on a bike.
Oh, you did on a bike?
Yeah.
I was going to say, a little bit quicker. Mark McLennan, welcome, mate. Hi, guys. Hope everyone well. Now the countdown to EBC, 25th of March. Good luck, Mark. It's close, isn't it? It's mad. We feel like we've only just stopped doing that, because I think it was in December was our last trip. Well, it was in November, but it went into December. And now we're almost onto our first, another couple of months to our first trek in Nepal. But this week actually got our first trips. We got our first trips in Tanzania and Tupkal. So really excited to get back trekking, and to all Evertrekkers who are going out there. Wherever you're going, safe journey over. Can't wait to see the pictures. Do get them posted. Yeah. And whilst we're here as well, don't forget, I will look at this snazzy little thing that's going to come across the bottom of the. I hope it works.
Yeah, it's not working.
That is a real shame.
Yeah, it's so snazzy.
That is so
I'm going to have
snazzy.
to try and look snazzier.
Oh, I know why.
Is it gone wrong?
No. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to use this one. Comment with your questions. Yeah, wicked. As you always know, we're really good with our tech on these lives.
Is that worth
I know we could have said it right.
Yeah, like the other
it
one.
took
The
a
other one
while.
has emojis and stuff.
I know it does, and it's and hopefully you get to see these. If I get it, no, it doesn't work. That is so frustrating. But there we are. Anyway, I'm going to bring it back again. Comment with your questions, guys. That's what we're here for as well. Obviously, like Mark going to EBC for the first time in March.
Yeah.
Mark, yeah, throw some questions, mate. We'd love to help you. I know there's a lot of Evertrackers who are doing challenges this year. Some of them are not necessarily with us. Like I think Diane definitely has got some challenges with us this year in terms of actual, but she's also doing some virtual challenges as well, which is amazing. I do love those virtual challenges. They're brilliant.
Honestly, they're really good.
Aren't they? Some of the medals are amazing.
Wish I had the idea during COVID to do it. We'd be I'd be a billionaire now.
I was gonna say they've done
Laura,
well.
hey, miss you too.
Oh,
Laura's
Laura
actually she's gonna be climbing Ben Nevis 5 times in one day for charity. She absolutely loves Ben Nevis. It's her favorite.
There's a long story behind that comment.
Yeah. She loves it. She loves it. Also, I want to give a little shout out to Jerome as well.
Yes, Jerome
put a really heartwarming video up the other day.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys have followed Jerome or watching, but he talks a little bit about the reasons why we put ourselves through this lifestyle, because although it's amazing and it is healthy, it comes with a fair chunk of pain and suffering as well.
Yeah.
And Jerome talks about like what it is in his DNA that makes him want to live an adventurous lifestyle and do it. And I thought it was a really, really good video. So Jerome, props to you, my friend. Loved the video.
Yeah. And that definitely, and I'm sorry to jump in, Dave.
That's fine. You know what I was doing? I realized I haven't got my phone for the questions.
Oh, there we go. It's okay. I can see a few of them there. But nice to get some questions in, guys. But yeah, Jerome, it's always nice to hear about someone's journey, and that journey doesn't necessarily start with Evertrek. It can start years back, and it's nice to hear because it's a hard thing, isn't it, to put things out in the public spotlight and social media. So Jerome, mate, it was lovely and very touching as well. So yeah, we definitely had some tears over here. But no, and I love that. Sometimes I like to go deep sometimes in terms of the mindset stuff. But when you've got a challenge that's hooked so far into your family history and things like that, it really means a lot, and that can provide so much motivation. And well done, mate, well done. It was lovely, and I'm sure it won't be the last video we ever get from Jerome. Definitely over the next few years anyway. But Marky V, mate, you have to catch up. I know it's always mad, isn't it? Whenever you're watching it, it's great that you guys tune in, and it's crazy. This is our 3rd year of doing the Tuesday tune-in, which is mad. Since we started during COVID, it's absolutely crazy. Yeah, this is our 3rd year of doing it. Wow. I know, it's crazy, mate. People are still actually listening to us chat about rubbish.
It's both an honor and I don't know how it happens, to be honest, but no, it is amazing, like I said, because I long since ran out of people that are willing to sit and chat to me about this sort of stuff. You're literally the only person I know that I can talk to about it.
What about this stuff?
Like if I want to sit down and talk for an hour about like the mindset of trekking, it's weird how like one by one all my friends just move away from me. So
me, I can talk about it anytime. It's great as long as we're always helping, and we want to make sure that we bring as much value as we can, and hopefully we can obviously answer your questions before you go on these challenges.
That's it, yeah.
Which means a lot. And hey, Tamarin, nice to see you on the live. Christina as well. I remember you being on the watching during COVID. I know a lot of our diehard Evertrackers have been around for a while now, but proud to have all of you join us, even the people who are watching it non-live, and also the people who listen to it on the podcast as well, because the podcast has been great. Like we still get a lot of views. We've also got plans over the next month or so to get some more of our original episodes. We've had a lot of guests on the podcast, but we realized that we've had a few kind of requests of the old kind of me and you podcast episodes talking about exactly you know the tune. Yeah, so which is great.
They're my favorite to do. I love chatting to the guests because you always
their story, their background, what they do, and it's amazing.
My favorite podcasts are the type where I just like where you just listen to people having a long format discussion.
Yeah,
and me and you can talk for a long time about trekking and stuff.
It's a good thing, eh?
Let's do it.
Brilliant.
But I mean, who else have we got on the live? Because it's funny like to start looking at people that have been around a while. So obviously Jerome, I feel like he was here when we moved in.
Jerome, yeah, he found us. I think it was during COVID, wasn't it, Jerome? I'm trying to. God, it feels like it's a long time.
That's when I first saw Jerome's message pop up, or maybe he emailed in or something like that. Like, and then he popped up. Tamrin, she's been around a while as well. I think I first looked at Tamrin. Got to have been
2018.
I think it was pre-COVID.
Yeah,
it was definitely 2019, if not 18, maybe pre-COVID. I think it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like there was a time when I knew every single customer by name. Both fortunate and to not be able to do that.
Well, it's quite interesting. We do get the odd person that kind of stops you on the road and goes, "Oh, you from Evertrek?" And we're like, "Yeah. Oh, great seeing you on the Tuesday tune-in." So yeah, at least they're getting watched, which is always great.
Yeah, when we come back to the UK, if we've been away, it's like how the Beatles were met off the plane when they arrived back from America. It's like that, there's loads of people there. I mean, weirdly, they're all wearing like high-vis jackets and stuff and like that. But I know what they're really there for. I know what they're really there for. Some of them dress up like with hats and they've got epaulets on their shoulders and things like that.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. They're all, we know what they're there for.
Brilliant. No, it's great as well. Some great questions just coming through, and we'll definitely delve into them. I think the first one, I tell you what, would be good to answer. Where was it? Where was? I think it was from Chris, because we've had a few questions come in on our WhatsApp group as well. First one, Chris Clifford Hurst. Hello, Chris. How you doing? EBC in October. Cannot wait. Wow, mate. It's fast approaching. How close to the dates do we arrange travel? Start on the 28th. Dave, what do you reckon?
I would recommend now.
Yeah. There are flights.
Yeah. One thing I do before I start doing any sort of expenditure, so the order is get your insurance first, just so that's covered. If your flights have any changes or delays or stuff like that, it can be very handy to have that. I also tend to book direct with the airline, but the days of the last minute cheap flights, particularly long haul, and particularly when you've got a layover, I think they're kind of gone now. It's very it's tricky to kind of get them. I know someone that's booking flights now to go away in March, and it's £1,000.
Really? To base camp?
To base camp,
wow. Yeah.
So I would say
can be quite high.
Have a look on the websites now. People like Qatar, I've always used Etihad.
Turkish
Airlines.
Air India.
Yeah, Air India are good. They tend to be good value.
I mean, they get there.
Yeah.
Not what happens in between. I can't guarantee the quality of that.
I've flown with them twice.
Yeah.
And
you got there both times.
I did get there both times.
Yeah, that's good.
And the plane was great. The food was great. What I will say is that there's long delays and stuff like that, and the customer service when I had to call them wasn't great.
Yeah.
However, not to disparage Air India, if you want to give us free flights, I'll I take that back. But yeah, I would say start looking now. Start putting the feelers out now.
Yeah.
Start getting some quotes now. And if you see a good price, particularly if it's sort of 700 or under for return flights and a flights, I'd be thinking about snapping it up. I don't think they get much cheaper as it gets closer to the time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because in the Summit Zone, actually, we did I was recording a workshop the back end of last year, which was around flight hacks. And anyone that's in the Summit Zone, by the way, definitely have a look at that in the members area. Anyone that isn't and wants to be a member of the Summit Zone, it's basically another opportunity to kind of work closely with me and Dave. Definitely worth joining. You can do on a monthly, quarterly, or annual subscription, but it's just something that we've done if anyone wants to work a bit closer with us.
Yeah.
And there's a flight hacks workshop, and basically what that goes through, just give you a kind of an outline, is that we know that there's challenges at the moment with flights. It's because of the post-pandemic, aviation industry is up in the air. The airlines are trying to recoup. Did you? No, that was unintentional.
That was unintentional, yeah.
I know, clearly, isn't it? They always come out unintentionally.
Yeah.
But they are trying to recoup the losses that they had during COVID. So flights are definitely a bit higher than they used to be. That's for sure. Definitely the pre-pandemic. That is kind of taking a little bit of time to kind of even out. So, there are a few things you can do to get some cheaper flights. And some of them are really easy. You got you can go incognito window. You can use a VPN, all that stuff. But definitely, if you're in the Summit Zone, definitely have a look at that.
Yeah.
Flight workshop. Definitely, it was a really good one. Mark McLennan.
Yeah, Mark McLennan. I used to know Mark McLennan.
Yeah. Did you?
When I lived in Alness.
You sure that's the same Mark? You never know. Mark, do you live in Alness?
Yeah, if it is, we used to be friends when we were kids.
Yeah.
He was a crazy guy. the guy I was friends with.
All right, so Mark
McLennan, yeah, he was that one mate that, like, if you said, like, do you reckon you could jump off that tree and survive? He'd be like, let's find out.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Amazing. So maybe that's you, Mark. Anyway, a guy that swears by the Wim Hof method breathing technique for altitude. Any thoughts on this?
Brilliant.
I've never used it, but I'll be honest with you, I haven't read the Wim Hof book. You've used it.
Yeah.
Do you reckon it works?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a caveat with all of this is that Wim Hof is amazing. More the cold water stuff I'm into rather than the breathing techniques. But it's Inverness, but must be
that's
not far away.
That's crazy close because I used to live in
Inverness. Is what, like half hour away?
Yeah, half hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's not far.
45 minutes. Just
you never know, Mark. You jumping out of any trees? But no. Going back to the Wim Hof stuff, it is really good, and there's a lot of science behind it. Personally, like the very first time I went to base camp, I didn't really know Wim Hof at the time. This was, we're talking 8 years ago now, and there were some things I did with my breathing that I kind of accidentally maybe knew before because I got asthma. And I wanted to try and essentially, as I walk uphill, I'm literally like exhaling really quickly and then obviously trying to get as much oxygen in as possible. So if I'm going up a steep incline, you can hear me going like, I was doing that, literally forcing as much sort of carbon dioxide out of my lungs, trying to get as much oxygen into the lungs. And it clearly worked because when I got to the top of the hill, I wasn't out of breath, I could talk, and I was like, oh, that's all right, that's worked. But literally, that was just something off the top of my head that I just thought of to use.
You can hear your breathing around you when you're.
I know, yeah.
Like,
but then I can talk when I stop, right?
Yeah,
because I'm like, hey guys.
I can. I just don't have much to say. But no, like, I honestly, I need to look into the Wim Hof stuff. Like, I was a little bit cool on him originally, but only because I think I read the marketing that he summited Everest in his pants or something like that, and I was like,
it's a little bit misleading.
I was like,
definitely.
I was like,
he didn't.
Rubbish. Yeah. But having said that,
I've
recently got into the cold water stuff, and I want to do more of it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Really good.
And I definitely can see the breathing is probably the biggest challenge that I have when I get into cold water. I feel like I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Like when we got in,
shocks you, doesn't it?
Yeah, but like I don't know whether this is just me or everyone. Because sometimes I get in and everyone's like, just try and breathe, Dave. And when I'm trying to breathe, my body's going,
probably me.
I can't. It's like for the first 30 seconds, it's like I'm dying. So I might buy the book and read it. And if he's got a breathing technique that helps you deal with cold water.
There is the breathing stuff. I have read about it. I've tried it out a little bit. It's quite hard because my lung capacity isn't great for one. And definitely trying to get it as large as I can because it will help our altitude. And definitely it's quite. Some of it you've got to breathe like a certain amount of times within a certain amount of time, and some of those breaths a long time. It's definitely science that it works, but in terms of from our I say our opinion, the cold water stuff is more. We could give you more opinions on that. I've been doing the cold water stuff for a very long time. Showers, dips in cold water. I've been doing it for years, and that stuff definitely works. The breathing techniques I'm not so clued up on.
I can't do the showers,
Really?
It has to be in the wild.
Just try it. Just go nuts. Just go. Come on.
Well, for me, it's more I only do the cold water stuff purely for the mindset afterwards.
Yeah.
I realised I think I'm a natural, by the way.
Because for cold water.
Well, yeah, got in, did 15 minutes first.
Off the bat. Yeah, you did. Yeah, fair dues.
And I was like, I was nice. I was sitting there, and there was this weir, and there was like heron on the weir and stuff, and I was just sitting there in the cold, just watching it, thinking like, this is great. Like I'm so cold. I can't think about anything.
It's great, isn't it?
And then
it's good for mindfulness.
And then after a while, the coldness doesn't seem to bother you so much, but your mind is still kind of clear.
Yeah.
So it was great. I was just looking at this like heron, and Andy's like, "Go get out now, Dave." I was like, "Okay." And I
know. I'm like, I literally had to drag him out the first time, but
so
you did so well.
I want to keep up to it. I definitely think there's something in it. Also, Des Lally, who we had on the podcast.
Yes.
Who he's the guy that did Penavan every day for a year.
He's a lot of money.
24 hours of rugby on the summit of Penavan. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's not grass. I can tell you that for nothing. Touch rugby, right?
Touch rugby.
Yeah.
He couldn't get insurance for the rest.
Yeah, he told me that one of the guys that he does the cold water dipping with does it for his mental health and says he never has a bad day afterwards.
It's true. Like honestly, I know we talked a lot about the cold water stuff before Christmas, but yeah, just to kind of sort of go over what that what that was about, and definitely it helps the mind. We go back to what we're talking about today, challenges. If there's something that can help your training or your body during, in facing a challenge, yeah, give it a go. It's not for everyone. Certainly, like I love the cold water stuff. Yeah, like as Dave said, you do get a lot out of it in terms of from a mental side. But your body, obviously, it starts some processes. And again, if you read some books about Wim Hof, processes that happen by cold water therapy is amazing.
Yeah.
And very good for you as well, especially the cold water shower stuff, which I've done for a long time. Good for the immune system. It's got so many benefits, and we could do a whole live off the back of that.
Maybe we'll do a cold like. I will say I don't think it's for everyone.
No,
it wasn't for me for nearly 40 years. And also, take your eyes out if you even suggest he goes in the water.
Thanks, Saren. Cold water swimming is invigorating. It certainly is, mate. It certainly is. Lorna, how is COVID in Tanzania now?
To be honest, I think it's about on par with pretty much the rest of the world. Tanzania, to be fair, was, I think, slow on the uptake in terms of dealing with COVID.
Yeah.
Part of that is just the nature of what it is to be in one of those countries like Nepal and like Tanzania.
Yeah.
There's a lot of day-to-day problems that those countries go through that are perhaps equal to COVID. Like malaria is a big issue in Tanzania. Most of the people I've spoken to over there have had malaria, once or twice in their life, and the challenge of getting clean water and things like that. So there's a lot of other things that come into it. I will say that I've been to Tanzania a few times then, and we've run loads and loads of trips that are running perfectly safely and adequately.
Yeah.
My advice is do the same thing you do here. If you have a concern for COVID, which is completely valid, just take all the necessary precautions that you want to do in order to stay safe. Biggest one for me, and it's a good idea for any trip, is the hand sanitizer. It'll not only keep you relatively safe from catching or transmitting COVID, but also like stomach bugs and things like that.
Yeah.
So
do the same. Yeah, I agree. I think obviously we've got trips starting this week now, first trips of the year to Tanzania, and the same, as Dave said, the same processes you go through. I think you also hit the nail on the head there regarding like hand sanitizer, and used to use that a lot before, because one thing you don't want to get is a dodgy belly or anything whilst you're on the mountain. Like anything, if you have diarrhea or anything for a couple of days, can really sap your energy. We've all had it. The old Delhi belly, the Nepalese napalm,
Tanzanian terror.
That's it. Yeah, we've had it. It's been what's the Peruvian one? What's it called?
I can't remember now. But we had one, didn't we?
We got a few. It's Montezuma's Revenge.
Was that what it was? Montezuma's Revenge.
I think that's more like a Central American, but there we go.
Yeah. I have a point about Tanzania.
Okay.
A customer asked me the other day.
Yes.
This is a bit off topic, but I wanted to get in on the live.
It's good question.
Was about a customer said the other day, do I need malaria? Do I recommend malaria pills
for
Tanzania?
Yeah.
And he went to a travel clinic. I forget the name of which one he went to.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anyway. And he was advised. He said, "I'm going to Tanzania.
Yeah.
Do I need malaria tablets?" And they said no. They said you can do, it's an option, but because there's not many mosquitoes at high altitude, you don't need the malaria pills. I just want to say that is that's wrong.
Yeah.
If you were going to Tanzania,
slightly incorrect.
You absolutely must take the malaria tablets, because you don't fly into the summit of Kili.
Yeah.
I guarantee you there are still mosquitoes, at least on the first 2 days of the trip itself.
Yeah, big tree camp. There was definitely some there.
Yeah, and in Shira 1, we saw them. And also there are 3 days and 3 nights particularly where you are in Moshi, in the town. And it only takes one mosquito to bite you, to transmit malaria. We've both been there in the nights.
Yeah,
and you will get munched to oblivion. It is impossible.
It's part of the challenge
to avoid it. Even with all the sprays and the repellents and things like that, you will get bit by a mosquito at some point. Absolutely take your Malarone. You have to take it for like a few days.
Doxycycline, whatever you're on.
Yeah, and take it the prescribed way. So before the trip, during the trip, and after the trip. Because it only takes one mosquito. So I just wanted to clarify that, just in case.
No, mate, it's great.
Because other people might have received the same advice that you don't need it because you're going up to altitude. Where it's not true. You can get bitten on, you can get bitten while you're on your way to the airport.
And it's a good point. And I'm sure, that they, regarding the advice they received, it's always when it comes back to us, we're like, oh, I probably would take them. We always want to try and help you guys and be completely transparent and honest. Just because a health clinic can say one thing doesn't mean it's always right. Obviously, we always promote Nomad Health Clinics, who we've got quite a good partnership with. We've worked with for the last sort of 3 or 4 years. So definitely, we always recommend them. But there are a lot of health clinics around the UK. Definitely have a chat with them, and sometimes push back as well and say that you've heard from other people. If you hear this, by the way, that malaria tablets are a must. And definitely, if you go into anywhere that has malaria, you need malaria tablets, definitely. And we've heard of some of our team over in Tanzania have had malaria in their life. Obviously, they've lived there their entire life. Ross Kemp, yeah,
in Tanzania.
He did, yeah.
Cheryl Cole.
So and this isn't to scare you guys, but obviously we always want to make sure that you go into these places safely, and safety's paramount importance.
I sometimes want to take Malarone if I go up to Scotland in the summer.
Oh yeah, well, because of all the what do you call them?
Because of all the midges.
Midges, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't think they transmit anything, but
Just want to keep them away.
if it's going to make the leap, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen with those little
Brilliant.
sods.
I did see a comment from Scott McDean, actually. Me and wife Eileen off to Tube Count in March. She's worried about holding people up as it's her first adventure. I've told her not to worry about it. But yeah, Scott.
We'll give you the opportunity to say "Come on, Eileen" a lot during the trek.
You know what? I didn't want to say it, but I knew you would say that.
Yeah.
Scott, I'm sure Eileen gets that a lot, but honestly,
I bet
if someone says that,
I bet she cracks
give a
up
punch.
every time she hears it.
No. But on a serious note, just regarding that, if she is worried about holding people up, when you're on high altitude, and Scott, I can't recall if you've been on a trip with us already, mate. Definitely just comment, let us know if you have. Is that we tend to any trek at high altitude is slow compared to going for a hike in the UK, for instance. Great to get out, and if you've got a challenge this year that you put in the diary, definitely get out in the mountains in the UK or wherever you are. But when it comes to holding people up, it's not really doesn't really come into it. There might be times where he's like, there's kind of, okay, we want to get to a particular point by this time, and there's that kind of time pressure as such. But it's more, if you are late, it's not a problem. Like, at the end of the day, safety is paramount, and you don't want to go up quickly. Sometimes you do come quicker on the way down, but again, safety, you've got to make sure you don't fall. Some of the it can be quite rocky, can be a bit snow, so you don't want to rush that. Got to get down safely. So the guides will manage that for you. So just tell Eileen that you are right, not to kind of worry about that too much. And we always like to say that we go as slow as the slowest person. Every trip is managed differently by the guide. They all bring different skills and personality to it, and they'll obviously communicate in certain ways on how they manage the pace. But they obviously, regarding Evertrek guides, they are kind of briefed and taught the Evertrek way, which is going as slow as the slowest person.
Yeah.
But yeah, look forward to hearing how yourself and Eileen get on. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. Georgie Clark is here. Georgie, how you doing, mate? Good to see you back on. Back to it. No surgery on knee required. Brilliant. I heard there was definitely on the cards.
Yeah.
So Scott, you did Everest BC in Kalapatar last March. Scott, awesome, mate. Sorry, I know it's hard to keep track. We had again, we go back to the numbers we were talking about at the beginning of the live. We had almost 900 people over in Nepal. So yeah, it was a busy year last year, which was amazing.
Is Georgie the one that often lives inside metal tanks and stuff?
He is, yeah.
So he's back to work, but with rules. So does that mean he's not allowed to go in any tank deeper than he can sort of jump back out of now because his leg doesn't work?
But it says he's at least a year before he's allowed to climb mountains.
They said that to me, and they were right. But yeah, I think
back to work with rules. Mate, those rules, they're more like guidelines anyway,
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, George.
I'll be honest. I didn't follow every rule that I was given
Really?
I followed the big ones.
The big ones,
and
no skiing.
Yeah, but yeah, so I wanted to learn to ski, and instead they said no, try snowboarding, which I did. First 5 minutes of the first day, and my bum hurt for 3 months after. But
because of the skiing?
No, because of the board, and you fall on your ass all the time. It kills. But
brilliant.
But yeah, Georgie, take it easy, mate, and just work a little bit at it every day is what I did. Yeah. Even some days, if I wasn't able to do any like strength testing, if it was aching and stuff like that, I just practiced like straightening it, bending it, straightening it. God, the amount of hours I've spent just straightening a leg, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, but it's just that that rehabilitation process can take a while. But Georgie, mate, hope it goes well, and let us know how you're getting on. It's always good sometimes, isn't it, to chat about how you're doing, and certainly,
I've got
get some
loads.
advice from other people who've been through it.
I've got loads of tips that I can help you with knee stuff.
Yeah, message Dave.
Yeah, message me, Georgie, and I will sort
Definitely.
you out with good recommendations of knee braces, exercises, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, gee, sounds like it was a biggie. Georgie, I can't remember what was it that happened. Was it a bike accident or something, or when you were hiking? I can't remember what it was now. But anyway, mate, yeah, definitely. We talk about challenges and New Year's resolutions today, and I think obviously it's going to be a big challenge for you. But I think that's certainly one challenge that you're going to succeed on, and that's get back walking, get back going downstairs. I know you mentioned there about getting small steps, but you can get there, mate. Definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Camilla Field has said, all our Team Yetis can't join you, but it's my big 5-0 this year. So my 2023 challenge is I'm going to summit 5 peaks, one for each decade, starting with Mount Toubkal this weekend.
Brilliant.
Epic. That's the sort of challenge you want to do.
So with that in mind then, 4 peaks this year, Dave?
Am I doing 4 peaks this year?
Well, I'm just thinking in the same. Can we do 4 peaks?
Oh, right. Sorry, because I'm turning 40 in May.
Yeah.
If I'd have known that, I'd have done Toubkal in January.
Oh, is that what it is?
They're going to get it in.
You can't get away with that.
But no, why not? Why not? Let's do 4 peaks. I'll do Penavan 3 times and Mera.
There's it. Camilla. And looking at that then. So what other peaks have you got on the agenda?
I'm curious about.
Yeah, I'm really interested to hear that.
I reckon. Well, if I was going to do 5 peaks in 1 year, which would I choose? I do Toubkal. That's a good one. Kilimanjaro. I do Island Peak.
And Mera Peak.
Peak. Do a Tufa, yeah. Island and Mera.
And then finish with a
Aconcagua, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. That would be heck of a year. I tell you what, you'd be fit as a fiddle after doing all those.
You've got 2 of the 7.
You got 2 of the 7 summits, yeah?
Yeah,
you have, yeah. Brilliant. Well, look, Camilla, let us know where you're, where these other peaks are, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Always interested to hear the stories. But yeah, great stuff. And look, don't forget to comment with some questions, guys. Obviously, we got a little bit more time left. We got about 15, 20 minutes. But just going back to what we were talking about, because obviously, again, I don't see any more questions at the moment. Definitely with Georgie there. Oh, mate, it sounds like it happened in Nepal, didn't it? Well, good luck for the next recovery, mate. Hopefully it goes all well. Let's have a look. We got Adam. We got, hey, guys, getting the wife and training with 3 peaks this year. Then want to join you next year for Everest BC. Definitely, Adam. Get the date. We always talk about challenges, and sometimes it's if it's next year, so what we're looking at 2024 is getting the date in the diary. I remember we go back to the Summit Zone. I had our first coaching call, which I think was back in October or November, and I remember Mark was talking about, who wasn't booked on one of our trips, but he wants to do Everest Base Camp. And I said, right, my challenge, Mark, is to get you booked on a trip, because once you've got the date to kind of work towards, it's a lot easier for one to get stuck into the training. You've got motivation because you have to get fit for it. But it's good to have something to aim for.
Mm-hmm.
You tell people about it, makes you excited. And I do get some people who are like, yeah, we're going to do it this time, but we'll get around to it. But yeah, I definitely challenge you, Mark. Definitely get that. Sorry, Adam. Because there's Adam Mark. Get that date in the diary. We've got some dates for 2024, and we'd love to have you as part of that journey.
Excellent.
With your wife. Yeah, it'd be great. And 3 peaks. I'll tell you what, if you can do the 3 peaks, with the physicality that comes with doing that, obviously it's not as quick as that. The Everest Base Camp is more of a journey. You're traveling through a landscape rather than going for peaks. Obviously you can climb Kalapatar, but getting to Everest Base Camp is a little bit different. But if you've got the fitness levels to do the 3 peaks, you can do Everest Base Camp.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. I would, knowing the kind of, we go back to look at the stats from last year. We know that percentage of those people who were on that trek, they hadn't done the 3 peaks. They'd just done some hiking. They've been to the gym. Maybe their fitness levels wasn't as high as probably they should have been, but they made it and they got there, and they achieved something.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's important to be as physically prepared as you can possibly be. It gets warm, doesn't it?
It gets warm.
But yeah, like it's twofold training. Part of it is the mindset, and I think you can gain that by doing things like the 3 peaks challenge and things like that. Because often when you do that type of challenge, you are physically and mentally broken at some point on it. And I often think that that's how you like expand your boundaries, is by doing all these training. And I was out on the weekend, and it was the first time in a long time where I got absolutely soaked wet through. Like I was wringing from head to toe. And it's good though, because it's good to stress the body like that, because it becomes accustomed to it. And then when it happens in a situation for real, like when you're on your way to the Himalayas or on a high peak somewhere, you've been through that before. So you don't get overwhelmed by that and stuff. Hey Tom, how's it going? Mambo,
Tom Massetto,
from the Springlands.
Jambo, mate, I hope you're having a good time, enjoying the pool, enjoying the surroundings. I know you had some spare days, didn't you, before, mate? I hope you're enjoying yourself over in Tanzania. We got malaria tablets. Jim Blues, hey Jim, how you doing? When will the Langtang Valley Vamusco be ready? Good question. We've got it on our essentially some of the newer trips. We're trying to get the app access up and running. So yeah, mate, not too long. I know that the head of projects fees been massively on that with regards to getting Vamoose, and also Zach as well, who's been looking after all of our content, getting it kind of rolled out. And Langtang, we're not a million miles away from that, Jim, but we'll definitely contact you when it's ready. We've posted in the group and say, right guys, anyone from these trips, and we can get on there, and you got your get your details. But yeah, really, really good. Andrew Scott, I think we were talking about flight prices here. Yeah, and it's definitely a subject. I know I checked, was it just over £1,000? It can the flights at the moment are a bit nuts. Like I've been looking at flights for like half term, going back over to speak to our Icelandic suppliers, because we got some of those trips coming this year, going over in February. So yeah, we're just kind of ironing that out as well. But we're going over there, and yeah, flights for anywhere at the moment are higher than normal. Hopefully it kind of evens itself out a little bit over the coming year. I think, as I said earlier, guys, that the kind of post-pandemic surge, obviously the increased demand, the supply is fluctuating, and this is the result, as well as obviously airlines want to make a little bit more money after COVID. So yeah, definitely it's do bear with it, and sometimes it's worth waiting maybe another 12 months if that's a biggie for you. And because I realize these flights of prices, they can be a lot. I suppose the only big way we can really help out with that is regarding our payment plans. We do, if a lot of you guys have been around the community for a while, you know how it works with Evertrek. But for anyone that isn't, you can spread your payments over flexible monthly in chunks. So if that kind of helps you guys, maybe factor in, because I know sometimes with flights you can't do that. You got to pay for them. But with us, obviously, for your trip, you can pay that in installments. Just to help out. David Clift, Happy New Year, mate. Great to see you on the live.
Happy New Year, Davo.
Always great to see David on.
Christina's asked a cool question. Originally booked on Kili, but was now thinking Mount Toubkal in Morocco in November instead, as it sounds more affordable. Would that realistically be cheaper or just as expensive because you need to buy all the winter gear? So Toubkal, whichever way you cut it, if you're looking at the 4 or 8 days, is going to be less expensive than Kilimanjaro. The kit that you need, to be honest, to do sort of Toubkal in winter and Kilimanjaro is largely the same.
Very similar, yeah.
Toubkal in winter, which I just did, you'd 100% need warm and insulated clothing, but you're also going to need sort of lighter, cooler clothing for the walk up to the refuge. And it's the same on Kilimanjaro. So in terms of equipment wise, they're probably about the same. You might need a few more items if you do compared to the 4-day Toubkal to Kili. But say you were doing the Kilimanjaro trip and the Toubkal 8-day, you'd probably need the exact same amount of equipment, I'd be honest with you, because both of them require, you climb up to high altitude peak, which is going to have snow on top and things like that. So we did, in fact, Toubkal, I actually, it was about this. It was probably colder than when I went up Kili, but that was unusual because it was hit by a bit of a storm. So I would say the equipment you'd need is about the same. But the trip cost, obviously, that's where it's going to be more or less affordable for you. So do whatever you need to do.
As well, and something about that, Christina, as well. Looking at it, if you wanted to push Kili to the following year, because I think sometimes it's good to get these in, and that challenge we want you to fulfill that challenge. To get to Kili, it's a biggie, and obviously Toubkal is amazing. You can't get around it, but there's something about being on the the highest peak in the African continent that is special. Obviously, I love Toubkal as well. It's brilliant, but Killy is definitely a special summit. But yeah, and Tubcal, it's tough. November, winter conditions, windy. Yeah, it's if you need to buy a lot of equipment, like Dave said, a lot of the equipment you use at high altitude is transferable. There are some differences, if you're climbing, if you are climbing in winter, or if you're going on a bigger peak like Island Peak, Mera Peak, Aconcagua, in terms of like level of quality and maybe a bit more technical gear.
Yeah.
But generally, the trekking trips that we do is very transferable, so you don't need to feel like you're buying stuff all the time. If you're on a bit of a budget. But yeah, good question though, definitely, very good. Amy Theakston, how you doing? Not a hardened trekker, but really looking forward to my first solo adventure to Machu Picchu in June. 18 months after an operation, losing the sight in one eye, bring on the challenge. No, honestly, Amy, you're going to love it out there. I did Machu Picchu back in September. Yeah, it's been a bit. I know, with regards to people, we've had some comments around Peru as well, because there's a lot of protests and uproar at the moment. And for us, obviously, our first trip is in April to Machu Picchu. We're kind of hoping it's all going to blow over by then. As with any country in the world, it can be political upheaval, some worse than others. We've certainly had some customers, wasn't it? We're over in Ecuador with some protests. It's not nice. I think if there's any risk of that, we can look at moving it, but we don't foresee it at the moment. Any official guidance will definitely let you know if there's any impact to your trip. But you're going in June, that's plenty of time, and you can have a lovely time. Bring on the challenge. Exactly. That's the attitude,
awesome.
mate.
Jerome has asked Tubcal in November, crampons.
Ooh.
Yeah, highly likely.
Yeah.
I went in December, and what was strange, so I've done it. I haven't done it twice. I've been on to Tubcal twice.
Call it 1.8? 1.5. 1.5. Okay, I was giving you being generous.
If I'm being honest, 1.5. And weirdly, when I went in April, the snow line was a lot lower.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
So when so about an hour and a half lower than the refuge, we reached the snow line. However, the conditions were much hotter and much warmer on the mountain. When I went in December, the snow line started pretty much just at the refuge or just slightly above
it. Yeah,
and it was a lot more mixed terrain. So there was ice as well as snow and then rock. So it involved. So when we first did it in April, crampons went on at the refuge and stayed on to come back to the refuge.
It was awesome. Yeah.
When we did it in December, I think 4 or 5 times we had to stop to change, to take them on and put them off, to get to the summit. I would say in November is highly likely you're going to be in a similar situation where you're going to be taking them on and off a couple of times, but they will be needed. Yeah,
and regarding access to those, obviously, if you don't, own any crampons, as it is in the UK, you can use them out there. And if you haven't used any, November is a little bit earlier than December, so you might not get as much. But if there is a risk of it, the team have got them there. I think it's like, what's it per day, like €4 a day or something like that. To hire them, it's quite cheap over there if you need to use them.
I mean, to be honest, if you are thinking of doing that, you can buy a set of the C1 crampons. The ones with like the heel cage and toe cage. More flexible, designed for like kind of like a B1 boot. Something like a Maindel Bhutan, which is a little bit stiffer than a really flexible one.
Bingo.
I'm gonna put there you are. And then it's going to be useful for you in your life, because if you've got that desire and you're not just going to be one and done doing Tubcal and then off, you can go to Scotland in the winter, you can go to Snowdon, and any peaks in the winter in the UK, you're best to have them in your pack, right?
Definitely. It's and it's fun as well. It's a new skill. It's new feeling. It's one of my favorite times to actually when I'm on snow, when I've got crampons on, I feel like a kid in a sweet shop. Honestly, it's definitely something that's it feels like a proper adventure. So yeah, it's definitely if you're doing Tubcal over winter. Not saying that the summer months aren't amazing to go up there as well. We had some amazing trips last year. Some great groups actually to Tubcal over the summer months.
Too hot for me.
But if temperature is something that's a big deal, then definitely the November through to kind of April, even May, you can have some snow potentially up there.
Sometimes in the summer we even stay outside of the refuge.
They do.
We bring tents up.
It's quite hot in the refuge.
Quite hot in the refuge. There's like 15 of you packed into one room, maybe more. It can get very hot if it's hot. In the summer the temperature doesn't go much below the teens. It's much nicer to be in a smaller tent with just like one other person or whatever. It's
nice. Well, look, just to finish off, because we've got about 5 minutes, a couple of things to chat about. Because one thing I wanted to kind of drip in is to talk about what's going ahead for the next year from an Evertrek standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we've got a lot of challenges. We've got a lot of trips that are running, challenges that Evertrekkers are taking on. But yeah, with our successful crowdfunding we did in the back end of last year, it's now we haven't had the money yet. We're waiting for it, but pretty much allowing us to develop new trips. We're going to be working on some new systems. We're going to be doing some fun stuff now in 2023, which is amazing, and moving the business forward even more. So definitely look out for some new releases. Very, very quickly, we're going to be doing the Tour de Mont Blanc sometime in January. So we'll be releasing that. We're still sort of tweaking it a little bit, getting that ready. Also as well, the Mont Blanc Summit trip, which is going to be huge. Mm-hmm. Scandinavia, I see we're going over to Iceland to sort all that out, as well as the rest of Scandinavia. So we're really excited about some of the trips. We've also got some new trips we're going to release this year in Nepal, which we've been working on, and other trips in other areas that we also run trips, especially a couple of new ones in Peru, which we're really excited about. So just wanted to throw that in there as the first kind of to our community. If you're watching this live or not watching this live, or maybe you're watching on the replay, something to look out for. Off the back of that as well, we have got something that's coming in. Most of you might have been seen an email that went out, I believe it was yesterday, and it was around at the end of the month. We're having a price increase. Now, obviously, we always we don't. It's not something we kind of want to do. I think it's just the obviously with the level of the economy right now, the cost of living, all that different things that come into it. Obviously, our prices have gone up in terms of our costs. So we don't want to sacrifice on the quality of all the trips that we do, and to maintain that, we had to adjust some of our prices. Now, obviously, to everyone that's booked in, nothing's happening with your price. Of course, this is just for any new bookings, and I know a lot of you have already got a lot in the diary, but just to we wanted to give you enough notice. It was the end of the month. We put out an email. There'll be some more emails over the coming weeks. But to anyone wanting to get booked in on a trip, you can do that. Obviously, if you go on one of our monthly payments, the deposit's just £10, and that just means that obviously, if you want to lock in a trip now, I know some of you guys were thinking about 2024 and haven't booked yet. This is an opportunity maybe to lock in the price that it is now before our prices do go up. We're really excited, about all the things that we do with the Evertrekker community, all of our new trips, all the events we're going to be attending this year. We're really excited about the year. Obviously, we've got some personal goals ourselves that we've set in terms of mountains we're going to climb. Obviously, it's your 40th this year. We've got a lot of mountains to climb. I know we're doing Mera Peak at the end of the year, November. Very excited about. Hopefully, all going well, we might even do a twofer.
Do a twofer, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
To do Island Peak and Mera Peak in the same trip.
It was funny. It was when I was in Tupkal, and you're already climbing one mountain, and you're already locking in the next.
Why not?
Next two. Yeah. But that's going to be big one in November,
isn't it?
Big one.
Really cool. But I hope that's been kind of useful today, Dave. I mean, so much to talk about today, but that was really good.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, I'm glad Georgie's doing okay. We're a community as knee people.
Yeah, I know.
But no, honestly, it's great to get back into it. Funny enough, I actually think we're back into it, and I think we're off next Tuesday.
I know, isn't it? We're traveling again next Tuesday.
Yeah, but
we'll have some classics. We're going to speak to some of the other Yetis and see if they want to jump in. Typically bad timing, but we're back the week after with you lovely Evertrekkers. But any final words on the challenges versus New Year's resolutions? Anything around that?
I would say, if you've made a New Year's resolution and you were planning on sticking to it, just get rid of it now. It's pointless. But no, honestly, I do wish you all the best with everything that you try to achieve in 2023. I think a challenge is a great way for you to achieve that New Year's resolution, whatever it is. There's nothing in my life that hasn't been improved by going on these trips and completing these challenges, whether that be the first half marathon I ran, or the first time I went to EBC, first time I climbed Killy, the second time I got to Tupkal, even the failures, even when I had to turn back on Tupkal, you learn about yourself, and you either win or you learn. And I think, if you've got a resolution, back it up with a challenge, get two for the price of one.
Brilliant. Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, have an awesome week, whatever you're up to. As always, anything you need from myself, Dave, the rest of the Evertrek Yetis, just get in touch with us via the usual channels. Post in the group if you're out in the mountains, wherever you are. Obviously, some of our Evertrekkers who are abroad, like Tom. Obviously, we've got Camilla who's going to Tubcal on the weekend. And we'd love to hear your journeys, and don't forget, obviously, to kind of tag us as well. So if you are, in your stories or anything on Instagram, definitely get in there with Evertrek and give us a little tag. It's always great to. That one worked. I know, isn't it amazing? Sometimes these things work.
Yeah.
And we don't know why.
No, we don't know why.
No. We obviously tag us and let us know about your stories. It's always great, so we can see what you're up to, and also as well we can push it out to the rest of the community.
What's that?
Definitely.
Jodie's just saying she's going to jump on next week, so that's good. Yeah, she's going to talk about. She's going to go about training and fitness.
She's like,
and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sorry, it was a bad impression of Jodie.
Was that it? Oh wait, no. Jodie's like, right, but I'm talking to you about my running. I am.
Wow, you're gonna get a knee in the nuts when you go in that room now.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, all the best, and we'll catch up with you soon. Have a wonderful week.
Bye.
Bye.